everyone, it's me, Gary, back with Panto Archives Cuppa Chat, and I am with a very, very, very special person today who I'm very excited to introduce you to. So, mystery guest, introduce yourself.
Hello, it is I, Jamie Riding, pantomime dame extraordinaire and all-round leg end.
And
Yes, so lovely to be
gorgeous.
on here. Thank you for having me. Exactly, exactly. She's always gorgeous, you know that. But yeah, thank you for having me on, Gary. It's lovely to be here. And first of all, can I just say well done and congratulate you on all your work you do for Panto Archive. I think you do an
Bless
amazing
you.
job.
Oh, bless you, bless you. It's a lot of it's. I'll be the first to admit it's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, which I'm sure with anyone who does the producing side of anything understands. So I'm really grateful for your comments and people who are enjoying it. We've got lots of exciting things still to build and to create, but
Ooh,
thank you,
ooh,
Jamie.
ooh.
I know, exciting stuff. Now, before we start with any of our Panto chat, I must first of all show you my cup that I've got today for our Panto chat. I've gone with the typical G. I've gone with my normal drink, Jamie, which is my favourite, which is black currant. I know I'm weird. I don't have hot drinks. But what's in your
I
cup,
don't either.
Jamie?
I've got mango squash. So
Oh,
I'm weirdo as well. Mine's a Punch and Judy theme mug, obviously, for
yeah.
obvious reasons, because you have several eyes staring back at you right now. Um,
I mean, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I would expect nothing different, Jamie, than that cup from you. So
but you've got a whole ensemble of people here, not just me.
I know I wasn't expecting to have an audience with us watching live. Now, Jamie, I'm so happy to have you with us today because you are one of which I like to think as one of the upcoming and exciting dames that are coming onto the circuit. It's really nice actually because bless people, they message me and they say, "Oh, Gary, you're up and coming. It's really exciting." And then they talk about you, and I'm like, "Oh, that's so nice to even be spoke about in the same sentence." So that's
Yeah,
positive to
no,
start
it's
with, Jamie.
lovely.
So let's go back right to the beginning of where the love of the Panto started, because I know you've got loads of links and ties, but let's go right back to that first
Yeah.
moment.
So I've not ashamed to say it. I've got Asperger's syndrome, which is a type of autism, and I used to find the theatre and going to those sort of environments quite scary and quite intimidating and overwhelming. And it wasn't actually Panto the first thing I ever saw. The first show I ever saw was actually a show called Get Up and Go, which was by Dave Benson Phillips, who I'm now very proud to say is a very dear friend of mine. And I saw that show, and from the back of that, my family then took me to go and see Panto that Christmas at the
Mm.
Bournemouth Pavilion, where I went for years and years and years. And funnily enough, that was Peter Pan, which is the show I'm doing this year. Yeah, so I ever since then I've loved it. And then I saw a fabulous dame called Michael J. Batchelor, who he is just amazing, and recently just got awarded from Pantomime Awards I think it's an achievement and keeping the history of Panto alive award, and that is so well deserved because he is truly one of the best dames in the country. And if it wasn't for Michael, I wouldn't be daming now, and I think my dame has a lot of similar traits and characteristics. After seeing him, I then went to see loads of different pantos. But the first time I actually donned the frock, as it were, I was at school and I played a Dane character in an assembly, basically like a Christmas concert. And then the following Christmas, I spoke to a producer at the Tivoli Theatre in Wimborne, and I walked up to him, being the person that I am, and I went, "You're the producer, aren't you?" And he said, "Yes." Why? I said, "Well, because next Christmas you're going to give me a job." And he did. And I
Yeah.
played my first panto at the age of 17. And I played the policeman in Aladdin. And then it sort of hasn't stopped since then, really. And
Mhm.
funnily enough, it was the only time I've actually played a male character in panto,
Yeah.
which was strange. But oddly, the Dane did kind of slightly slide through just a little bit,
Yeah.
and then since then been playing Dame, and I absolutely love it.
But you know, sometimes, and I mean, and most people, to be fair, that you don't jump in straight with a dame, do you? You know, you are
No,
very, very lucky if you jump straight in with that role because it does
absolutely.
come with an air of responsibilities, doesn't it,
Big
Jamie?
time, yeah,
And
yeah.
you know, just try and explain to people what that responsibility is, because you know, you can be the bill lead as the prince, or you can be the bill lead
Yeah,
as the princess, whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is a lot of responsibility to go with those leading roles. But I always think there's another air of responsibility if you're the dame. Tell us what that feels
absolutely.
like.
Well, the way that I look at it is, it's the dame and the comic of I look at a panto as a sandwich. The dame and the comic are the bread,
Yeah,
and then everything else is just a bit of filling in between,
yeah.
because they do keep the comedy and the silliness going throughout the whole show.
Hmm.
And let's be honest, they are the characters that everyone has come to see.
Hmm.
you know, and it is a big responsibility, but it is a lovely responsibility to have. And I'm very, very, very blessed in the fact that I'm now known as Weymouth's resident pantomime dame, which is
Yes,
fabulous.
yes.
And I'm back there again this year to play Mrs. Smee in Peter Pan for Enchanted Entertainment, and I had so much fun last year. I
Hmm.
have to say, it's probably one of the best shows I've ever done. It was so lovely. And
Yeah.
the reception that that whole show got from the audience every single time was just priceless. And
Hmm.
it was very special, very, very special.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to work with Enchanted before, and they are a lovely company. I can't praise them
Great.
enough. And as you say, you are coming back again for the second year
Yeah.
there as Mrs. Smee. You've not done Peter Pan before, have you? Am I right in
I
saying that?
haven't. No,
No?
I'm really excited. So I mean, for as you know, Gary, we're playing Dame. You kind of feel for me. I don't know if you do, but I provide all my own costumes. And this year, I've had to get 12 new costumes made,
Oh,
because
lovely.
obviously I have to do a change every entrance, and
Mhm.
me being awkward, and I like to have it properly. Um, but yeah, so I've had a load of new costumes made. So I was a bit concerned about, obviously, with the theme of Peter Pan. It's like, oh, it's just pirates and the sea.
Yeah.
But there's so many things that me and a few of my costume makers have done. My main costume maker is Christopher Hardcastle, and the work that they do is absolutely amazing. And I cannot wait for audiences and people out there on social media to see the costumes that Christopher has made this year.
Where does it all start, Jamie? Do you get the script? I'm talking from someone maybe who doesn't have any idea, you
Mhm.
know, from who's maybe watching this. So do you get given
Yeah.
the script and then go, oh, that
Um,
costume might be good at that point? Do you do doodles that
yeah, I
give you
mean, it
ideas?
it, it 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 varies really. I mean, as I say, I'm quite lucky to be working with some really, really good makers. And they know my style and they know the
Mm.
way that I work. But with this year, yeah, because it's the enchanted version of Peter Pan, but we're Weymouthifying it. That's a word. I just said it. And we're doing that this year, and well, I've got the script, and I've worked out what costumes will work for what. And luckily, the ideas that I kind of started thinking, I thought, actually, those ideas that I came up with, they'll actually work.
Yeah.
So it's no, there's some really exciting things this year. I mean, we've got, what have I got? I'll give one away,
Yeah,
which is
okay, go on.
probably my favorite costume of the show. So I have a thing of it. It started last year, and I think it's going to be an ongoing thing now. Is if something goes wrong, they go, "Oh no, who's going to save us now?" Last year, I was Wonder Woman, so I was never fear. Daisy's here.
Mhm.
This year, she's going to be Pamela Anderson in Baywatch. So I'm going to be running through the auditorium dressed as Pamela Anderson, fat suit version.
Yeah.
It is just, yeah, I'm excited already. Oh, and I'm going to put some flippers with it as well, because why not?
Why not? Why not just go the whole way out, and which is what you're doing?
Yeah,
Do you
exactly,
get still good
exactly.
responses to the costumes when you
Oh,
enter? You know,
absolutely.
you think about the Dame of the past, and it's something that I'm sure, well, I know you get because I've seen comments and so on, that we bring back a little bit of the old school feel of the Dame because it is changing. The landscape of a Dame is
Yes,
changing. So, do
yes.
those costumes still get those wow moments and
Oh,
appreciation?
absolutely. I think you need to respect where you've come from and where it's come from, the genre itself. But I also think it's important to move with the times.
Mm.
There are certain costumes that I have in my archive that I probably won't necessarily use again myself, but they're there because they were from a certain period of time.
Yeah.
But things do change and evolve. But I think it's important that we stick to where our roots and where we found
Mhm.
those ideas, but evolve them.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough, fair enough. And speaking of costumes, and you're getting new costumes made and commissioned. Let's look back at things from the past because you've got something very, very special, which I'm would lots of pantomime fans and supporters would love to get their hands on. Tell us more about it, Jamie.
Indeed. So I have the pantomime Dame wardrobe collection from Mr. John Inman,
Mhm.
and yeah, a couple of those are coming out this year that are quite special. I try and have at least one or two of John's every year. I think it's just nice to just give him a little nod, and there you go, John. You've
Yeah.
had your stage time again. And it's lovely. A few years ago, I became very, very good friends with Malcolm Lord, who is the Dame up in Crewe, and he's back there again this year. And I became friends with him, and he's obviously being a resident Dame. He's used everything up there, so it was just sat in his storage, just not being used. And him and I made an agreement and saying if he ever needed anything, he could use it still. And yeah, so I got those. I used a lot of them for Jack and the Beanstalk a few years ago in Clacton, which is that one,
Yep.
that one up there. And yeah, so I used that in Clacton, and I've tried to have a few of them ever since. And I think it was last September. I think it was. I was on the Antiques Roadshow with them as well, so
Mm.
I went on that with there, and I went on them with there, and it was just really lovely. And it's just nice to be able to have that honor to carry on his legacy and
Mm.
and carry on for the costumes to being able to be used on stage because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that's what they're made for. And
Mhm.
that's what John and Malcolm wanted to happen. They didn't want them to just be sat in storage or anything like that. They wanted them to be used because they were
Yeah.
made to be used. That's what costumes are. They're
Yeah.
props. And I think it's important to keep that going.
Yeah.
There are a few that are sadly not necessarily usable, but they're okay to sort of be looked at and seen.
Mm.
There's his China plate costume, which
Oh,
is beautiful, the classic one. That probably isn't usable, but it's nice to look at and go,
yeah.
that's been on so many stages, and
Mhm.
I own that. I own that. Do you know what I mean? It's mental. It's
Yeah.
absolutely mental, but I do feel so privileged. I really do.
Do you worry? Because I would be worried, especially the ones that you use still as well. Would you be worried that, oh, I might just sit down or catch it on a door or something and then it's ruined? Is there that sort of responsibility with it as well?
Um, Yes, to an extent, but the way I look at it is costumes can be repaired.
Hmm.
That's the way that I look at it. Costumes can be repaired, um, and they're meant to be used, and yes, they will have wear and tear, and there's been things that have had to be mended on them and changed and slightly, but the important thing is they've kept what they should look like, and I
Yeah.
think it. They will have wear and tear, but they're really well made costumes. And when you
Hmm.
get something really well made, they last for
Yeah.
years. I mean, as we know, because
Mm.
some of these costumes are 60 plus years old.
Yeah. Yeah, and and you're right in saying that they it's such a shame that so much time and effort goes into these costumes and they get used for one season. It's so
Yeah,
nice and refreshing and actually quite you know, upbeat in the world that we're living in about reusing, recycling
Yeah,
items and
absolutely.
getting the most out of them. It's brilliant. It's
I
wonderful.
mean, all of my own costume collection. I mean, a lot of it I have on my website, and I have it out for hire if anyone wants to see that. There's all on my website and stuff. So, and I think it's important to reuse costumes because at the end of the day, now for me as the resident dame in Weymouth, I obviously I can't reuse costumes year after year, so I'd have to give it a few years break
Yeah.
before I bring it back again. So rather than that costume that spent a lot of money on
Mm.
sitting in the storage unit, it's nice to be able to get it out and let it do its job,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, definitely. Jamie, tell me how it feels with the title of resident dame somewhere. You know, I know. Go on, do it
It's
again because we wouldn't have seen it.
mental. It's mental. It is mental. Me as that little autistic boy going to see the Panto, growing up, going, that's what I want to do. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
That is me now, and I still find it absolutely mental when I walk into the theatre in the morning. And I mean, at Weymouth, there is a huge banner at the side of the theatre. I mean, it is ginormous. It covers like half of the theatre. Um, and I see my face on that, and I think, how did I manage to do this? Do you know what I mean? How
Yeah.
how did I actually get to do that? And it's just mental. People come up to. I mean, I've gone back to Weymouth for a few gigs and bits and pieces in between, and I've had people come up to me going, "You're the Dane from Christmas, aren't you?" And I go, "Yeah. How do you know me? Your teeth. Thanks." So I'm known for my teeth. Great. Not the performance, not the costume, my teeth. Great. Lovely. Thanks.
I mean, take any publicity as long as it's good publicity. If
No,
the
I
teeth is
know,
it,
absolutely. I know,
at
I
least you
know,
don't get
but
you sound like Alan Carr or Mr. Tumble, because that's what I get all the time. So I mean, that's
anyway. So let's just
Jamie. Well, what air does it bring though to you? Because you know, sometimes it's nice going to different venues because you're like, I did this last year.
yeah,
I know it works. What do you have to do again for maybe someone who
yeah.
doesn't know the industry? What do you have to do when you're with exactly the same audience for the second year in a row? How do you have to change the
So
role?
I've there's a few things that I mean. The character itself pretty much is the same because that's what people expect.
Yeah.
But I've totally got a new opening spot, new jokes, pirate themed things,
Hmm.
and stuff like that. And yeah, it's about rewriting material and making sure you keep it fresh. I've got the script now, and I've started going through that and again Weymouthifying it, and putting a few extra local gags in there, local references and stuff. And I think it's nice for me because I'm from the Dorset area,
Mm.
so I know the local places, so I know the references and I know
Yeah.
where they all make sense. It's like last year there was another like a throwaway line that didn't really get that much of a laugh. I changed it to be a slightly place that's slightly closer to Weymouth. Woof, massive
Mm.
laugh because it's just that little bit, making it more local and making the panto theirs rather than
Mhm.
it being another panto that just tours around. It's their panto,
Yeah.
which I think's nice. And from what I've had people saying to me, that panto, their panto, is me as well now. Part of
Hmm.
that is me, and I just think that is just so lovely.
Yeah.
After the fact of only doing one season, is the
Hmm.
fact that they say I'm their dame, which I
Yeah.
think is so lovely, and I think I like to think it kind of reflects quite well on me, the fact that after only a season, I've able to say that I'm their dame, and I think that's really
Yeah.
special.
Yeah, and it comes with a great responsibility as well. You know, and I know you wouldn't take it sitting down and just go, "Oh, I've done it
No,
now. I know what to. I know I've got it in the hand." As such, you know, that's not the type of performer you are, and you can see that through the other jobs and the work that you've done. Um,
yeah,
Even away from Panto, with like what's in the background of you, with your Punch and Judy, your puppetry. it looks like you're just having fun. Is that the key of it?
Oh, it's great. It's great fun. I get paid to mess around. I mean, what more could you want? My job is to make people smile and laugh. That's my job. And I think that is just so special. There's a phrase that I try and follow every day is, as long as I make at least one person smile or laugh, that day is a good day. If I don't, that day's wasted. And I try and do that at least every day. And that's how I live my life every day. And so far, it's worked.
Yeah, brilliant. It's a good way of thinking, really good way of thinking. Jamie, looking forwards then, so we've got Peter Pan this year. You've never done it before. What's the one thing that you're most looking forward to with getting with a new story and a new dame? And relatively in the grand scheme of things, Mrs. Smee is a newish character that's come on the
Yeah.
scene in the Panto history. It's always been maybe the comic that's played the Smee role. What do you look forward to with him playing in that show?
Well, for me, it's the adventure of Peter Pan. It's such a brilliant story. And I mean, as long as I've seen a few Peter Pans that have been not ideal, but I think the story of it is such an adventure. And there's a brilliant phrase that I quote from Eric Potts, who's a fabulous Damon writer. He says that every time something, it should be every page you turn, it should be what happens next. And the kids need to be excited. And the most important thing with Panto is adventure and the story. And I think Peter Pan is such a strong story, and the kids know the story as well. They know what to expect. They know they're flying from London to Neverland, and with Captain Hook and the pirates and all the adventure there with Tinkerbell and the mermaids and things. It is such a strong story, and I'm so excited for that. And it's nice to be able to do a dame that I haven't done before, as you say, and it's really exciting. I mean, this year she's Captain Hook's what did I say? Captain Hook's right-hand woman, which is ironic.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I'm in exactly the same boat as you this year, Jamie. I've never done Peter Pan before. It's one that I've wanted to do a little while, and I'm playing Mrs. Smee as well in Wellingborough,
Oh, we're
in
sharing
Northamptonshire. I
Smees.
know we're sharing Christmas with the same
Oh,
experience,
fabulous.
and I'm really looking forward to it because, as you say, it's something that you haven't done before. There's an air of
Oh, it's
excitement
brilliant.
with it as
Yeah.
well, isn't there?
It's like a child on Christmas Day. New stuff, yay!
Yeah. Because I mean, you get used to doing your widow twankies or your ugly sisters or stepsisters, whatever we want to call them. But actually, there's something quite exciting about
Yeah,
playing the new character, but having that
yeah.
comfort blanket of going, yeah, but I've done it
It's
before
still
as
the
well. As
day.
well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
nice,
I
isn't
think
it?
it's the nice thing about it is like, because us as dames, we don't get an opportunity really to play a different character. It's
Mm,
always, as you say, the Twankies, the Trots, the Sarah, the Cook, the this, that, and the other.
mm,
Peter Pan isn't done as much.
mm.
And I think it is so exciting that it's a new character, and it's
Yeah,
new, it's a new story to tell,
yeah,
and that's the most important thing. You're telling a story,
yeah.
and for those kids and the families, they're gonna love it, and
Mhm.
it's just absolute magic.
I agree. Speaking of new stories, I'd love to get your sort of input on the newer titles that we are getting in the Panto world. We're seeing like Little Mermaid, Pinocchio, Wizard of Oz. It's been around a little while now, but that's a title that's becoming more popular.
Mm,
Even like A Christmas Carol, Scrooge is becoming
yeah.
quite a popular panto. What's your take on that, on those sort of
Well, I
different
think I think
stories?
it's really exciting, and I mean for the audiences, because the audience will in their local towns will go to see their panto regardless of what story it is.
Hmm.
And I think it's really exciting the fact that producers now are thinking, oh, do you know what? Let's give this a try. Oh, and maybe give this a try. Because I mean, the majority of the stories that they are bringing in now had been done years ago. I
Mm.
mean, I've been in the Little Mermaid pantomime myself, and playing the character, the Ursula Octavia character.
Mm.
Oh my word, it's a dream, absolute dream. Because it's like playing a sister. You get the balance of the dame and the evilness,
Yeah.
but so much more of it. And it's such a brilliant character. And again, that especially the Little Mermaid, that is such a good story, and the kids know it. And the kids
Mm,
know it. You know, obviously, yes, it is. It's because it's been Disneyfied and stuff like that. But it's nice that they do know the story and they know what to expect.
yeah, I 100% agree. And actually, that's the way that these genres have to regenerate, to quote Doctor Who, into something new that it's still relevant, but keeps that
Yeah,
traditional side of it. You still got your comic, you still got your Dame, you got your Prince,
yeah,
but it's a story that is, granted, The Little Mermaid came out in the 80s, Disney, but there has been a new live action, so it's
mm.
still a popular story to a
And
new
relevant.
generation. And Panto can
Yeah.
jump into that, can't it?
Of course, absolutely. You know, it that's the reason why it's lasted as long as it has.
Mm,
It's evolved. It's like me with doing the Punch and Judy. They come from the same origins, the Commedia dell'arte in Italy.
mm,
And the reason that it's all lasted as long as it has is because it's evolved. It's
mm,
constantly evolving and changing and moving with the times. And if it doesn't, that's when it gets stagnant and then will eventually and sadly go. But I
mm,
think the genre itself is evolving into something really exciting. And I
mm,
think in these next few years, it'll be really interesting to see where Panto takes us. Um, not necessarily in terms of just the story, but in terms of casting and in terms of what type of person plays what cast, because there's a lot more female dames now, which
yeah.
is which is great, because
Mm,
it just goes to show that anyone can play those roles.
yeah.
And it's fabulous with Rob Madge at the Palladium. I mean,
Mm,
they're non-binary, and it's
yeah.
great that they're being represented in
Mm,
in a panto, and people in that audience are going to go, fair play. There's actually elements of the whole society as a
yeah.
whole. I'm sounding very serious now. Society as a whole, um, represented in Panto, which I think is great, and that's why it's constantly evolving and moving with the times.
Yeah, and it is a serious topic, but actually it's something very important. It has been spoken about a lot about the bills all looking the same. And actually this year,
Yeah,
so far, a lot of the bills have got a mixture of backgrounds, a
yeah.
mixture of performers. It's really nice to see. And I
It's
agree with
refreshing,
you.
I think.
Yeah, it is refreshing. And I think it's something that we will see more coming over the coming years as well.
Yeah.
Um,
I think what's also nice is the producers. Yes, they are still putting those, using those different their backgrounds and ethnicities, and genders, but they're casting for talent.
yeah,
That's the most important thing, is you're casting for talent. And as long as that representation is shown, it's
yeah.
amazing. It really
I
is.
100% agree. Is if you can do the best job and you're the best person for it, it don't matter what color you are, what orientation you are, anything. It's just
Oh,
you're the best
absolutely.
person, and you will entertain
Yeah.
the audience, which is what we want. Jamie, tell me just a little bit about the importance of the relaxed theatre and shows nowadays. You were quite
Absolutely.
open at the beginning, saying about
Hmm.
your own experiences and your own autism. Is that right? Am I right with saying
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, so how is that important nowadays that these
Oh, it's
shows are
incredible.
available?
Yeah, it is absolutely amazing. It's making Panto evolve with the times and move with the
Mhm.
times, and it is lovely. See, I mean, whenever I've done a relaxed performance, I've always gone out and spoke to the audience before the overture started or anything. And I mean, in the cast, we've introduced ourselves. And I mean, for me, I've told the audience about who I am, but
Yeah,
also who I am as Jamie, not just who I am as the Dame.
yeah,
And it's nice for them to know that there's a bit of them on the stage as well,
hmm,
because obviously they just think, oh, they're just doing their show and we're just here. But I get it, because I've been there. I have been in that exact moment. I mean, for me as a child, a relaxed performance like that would have been everything to me. I
yeah,
mean, that's why when I went to go and see this show that Dave put together, David, in many essence, he came up with the idea of a relaxed performance, because with
Mm,
this show, Get Up and Go, the lights were still up slightly,
mm,
the sound wasn't as loud,
mm.
and it was a lot softer.
Yeah,
He then, after a few years, it carried on being doing the relaxed performances, and it is just so magical. I mean, we get them signed as well now,
mm,
and having the sign language. And going back to Dave again, this is what amazed me even more when I did Panto with him. During our relaxed performance, we had a sign interpreter as well. Dave signed his lines as well,
oh, brilliant. Yeah,
so he did it as well. And I just thought, that's when you know someone cares about their job and what they do,
mm,
and it having those relaxed performances are just, it's magical. And I mean,
yeah,
for me personally, I always, after I've taken my finale off, I always go and get into my opening costume or my press costume, and I go and stand in the foyer so they
mm,
can have pictures and stuff like that. Last year, that was the only show that we did that, and I went and did that, and it was just absolute magic. It was so special.
yeah. And I think it is very important. It's another way of making theatre and panto especially accessible for everybody.
Big
And
time,
not
yeah.
just people that maybe are on the spectrum, but actually
No,
people in
not
general,
at
because
all.
some theatre is a scary place if you've never been before, especially as
Yeah.
a child.
I mean, it is, yeah, for the younger ages as well. But I mean, for us last year in Weymouth, we had a few minibuses of care homes coming in as well.
Yeah,
For the people in the care homes and the dementia care. I mean, because I do a lot of care homes as well with the shows that I do, and the minibuses brought them in to see the relaxed performance, and
yeah,
it's lovely, because it just goes to show it's for everyone.
yeah, 100%.
It really is for everyone.
Yeah, yeah, I'm all for it, and more and more and more, and
Absolutely, Gary.
you're
Yeah.
getting sensory experiences as well now.
Yeah.
That I just think it's brilliant. And if any theatres are listening, do more because it is
Do it.
appreciated. Yeah. Jamie, I've not got long left with you, which is such a shame because I'm having such a lovely time just having a chat with you, really. But tell me, what's in the future line for you? You're saying about the Resident Dame. Hopefully, that's going to
Yeah.
continue for a long time. But if you could have a
Well, I mean,
magical,
yeah, sorry, carry on,
go on, no,
Gary.
go on, no, he's like,
No,
oh, good idea.
I was just gonna do a little plug, because
Yeah,
as well
go
as
on,
doing Panto
plug
at the
away,
moment,
plug
I'm
away.
doing One Man, Two Governors. So that's a play, and I'm playing Francis in that. So it does still link back to quite a strong commedia dell'arte and panto elements. But it's the first time in, blimey, nearly 6 years that I've been on stage not in a dress.
Yeah, and it's
So
scary,
that's
isn't
an
it?
ex- that yeah, oh, yes, because you haven't got your armor on. You haven't got your armor, because it is armor.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
protection.
Yeah.
And
Where
I'm
is it,
really
Jamie?
excited to do that. It's at the Tivoli Theatre in Wimborne, back where I first did Panto.
Oh, wonderful.
And it's also at the Modum in Swanage, and I can't remember the name of the theatre, but it's a theatre in Bridport. So it's all in the Dorset area.
Yeah,
And if you go onto Facebook or Instagram onto Revive Theatre,
yeah.
that they're the ones that are putting it all on, and all the tickets and information are all on there. And it will be lovely to see some people there, because we are working really hard on this show, and it is going to be incredible.
Well, I tell you what,
I'm
you send me the
super
link and we'll
excited.
put it in the link of the video as well so
Thank you.
people
I
can
appreciate that.
have a
Thank you.
look. Jamie, if you could have a magic wand to finish off on our final sort of question today, if you could have a magic wand and be in any production of a pantomime, who would you play? Who would you want to be performing with? And where would it be? Now, it might be, I quite like
Can I
asking this
do a
question.
tour?
And you could do a tour. I don't mind. You can have
So
whatever
it's
budget
gonna.
you want.
Oh, lovely! That's fabulous. Oh, we're getting all more new costumes. Um, no, for me, I'd say my favourite my favourite title will always be Jack and the Beanstalk.
Mm,
Aladdin closely followed behind, but it's not done as much now. So it's Jack and the Beanstalk, Dame Trot, because she has so much pathos, and it's so lovely. So I'll be playing Trotty. Our fellow friend Tony Rand will be playing Comic. And then Dave will be King.
yeah.
King Dave of the Gunge Tank. And
Right, so
and
in Jamie, you're saying I've got to be the back end of the cow. Is that what you're saying?
well, if you want to, yeah, yeah,
Thanks.
that's all right. Well, you talk enough of it anyway.
Oh,
Um, and it would be at the Bournemouth Pavilion, at Weymouth Pavilion, and the Mayflower in Southampton for a select run.
Jamie, it has been so lovely speaking to you. Do come and speak
Thank
to
you
us
for having me
again
on.
when you've finished your season. I wish you all the
Yes,
best as
yes.
Mrs. Smee. I
And
hope you
everyone,
don't.
get your tickets for Christmas.
Yeah.
Go online, www.weymouthpavilion.com, or call the box office on 01305 783 See,
Yeah,
that's
he's
how
learnt it.
autistic I am.
He's
That's how
learnt it.
autistic I am.
Hey, that's why we love you, and that's why the audiences in Weymouth love you too. Guys, if you want to know more about Jamie as well, you can go onto the Panto archive. He is on our Dame page as well, with all
Oh,
his
no.
credits, with all the other amazing dames on there. And you'll be able to read more about him on his social medias. We'll put all the links for you, Jamie, on there as
Fabulous.
well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll see you all next time for another